Hi, this is Iris Carter. I'm the city producer for the Greensboro 48-Hour Film Project. This presentation on Frugal Filmmaking will address how to do the 48-hour film project on a budget, as well as discuss various aspects of production and how that can be done as economically as possible. This is the studio that most people wish they had. It's the dream. Lots of space, lots of equipment, and lots of people to help out. Unfortunately, this is probably the reality. If you even have a garage, you've probably got all kinds of stuff and wishing that, you could get out there and clean it up and you could make a studio out of it and so forth. But the reality is empty pockets and broken piggy banks don't carry you too far. Of course, the 48-hour film project has a registration fee. It covers the entire team, and the earlier you pay, the cheaper it's going to be. So the early bird registration for the Greensboro 48-hour film project ends on May 30th of this year, and it is $148. A lot of times, team leaders pay this and just assume it's their responsibility. And I can appreciate that. At the same token, don't be afraid to ask team members to help out. If you've got 10 team members and each paid even $10, that's going to save you $100. If you want to divide it out, you could do that. There's lots of different ways that you could divide it out or ask for help and offer incentives to those, sort of like crowdsourcing. You could crowdsource your team, I suppose. But don't be afraid to ask as a group effort to make that payment and help make your pockets a little heavier. The great thing about the 48-hour film project is it is a team effort, regardless of how large or small your team is. Um, Remember that all of your team members must be volunteers. You cannot pay your actors or your editor or anything like that. Everybody needs to volunteer for it. Take inventory. What do people have? This is something that you should do as soon as you know that you're going to be participating. Who has costumes, props? People have stuff that they stick in the back of their closet and hope to use someday and may never use it. So see what they've got that's lurking that you could perhaps use in your film. Also, find out what kind of equipment, who has what can they provide. Um, so a lot of times it's just asking. People don't think you need it, and so they don't volunteer it. The same goes for locations. Where do people live? What's unusual about their home? What would make a good movie background? So don't forget to ask people if their home might be an interesting place, or grandma's house, or Uncle Fred's farm, or maybe Aunt Susie owns a restaurant. Again, keep track of your options. Transportation is usually an issue, and the way to keep it as a team effort would be to create a Google map just for people on your team, and either they or you could add their addresses. Then everybody knows where everybody lives, who's close by. If somebody needs a ride, they know who to call, or they might see, oh, so and so is on my way to the filming location. I can offer that person a ride and maybe they'll help me with gas. Lots of scenarios, but Google Maps would be a good way to make sure that everybody knows where everybody is, knows how to access each other, and knows also where the filming locations are or where you're going to be, those kinds of things. And hoarder relatives. We all have one somewhere in our family tree. There is somebody who stashes things away. Maybe they're not as bad as what you see on TV, but There's always somebody with a weird collection or an unusual item. So find out who on your team has those hoarder relatives and what they might have that would be of interest for your film. And finally, a contact list. Create that now while your team is still forming, and maybe a week before you get started, before the event, share the list with everybody else. Get everybody's permission. Don't give out emails and contact phone numbers and that sort of thing without permission, but with permission, share the contact list. Inevitably, there'll be somebody that won't show up for a filming or uh, for doing a certain job, and nobody seems to know how to get up with that one person. So you want to have it, and everybody needs to have it for everybody else so that they can contact people as needed. Food is a vital part of the 48-hour film project. You want to keep your entire team, crew, actors, everybody happy, healthy, and hydrated. As part of the food, it's just as important to know what not to have as what to have. Steer clear of pizza and beer or other alcoholic beverages. It'll weigh your crew down, and they'll be wanting to take naps instead of doing the work that they need to be doing. But you always want to keep coffee and water in some shape or form available. Coffee to keep them caffeinated. Water, I don't care if it's a hose in your yard, at least have something where people can get water. Some consider water bottles to be wasteful, so encourage them to refill their bottles if you have water bottles, or keep a pitcher of water on hand. But do make sure that there is water available. As a tip, keep Sharpies, the Sharpie pens nearby so that people can put their names on cups or bottles. You'll have less waste that way if people put their names on them. They won't just set it down and forget it was theirs. Craft services is what they refer to on the movie set as, I guess, basically the grazing table. It's where they put various snacks and drinks and things so that anybody on the crew can go by and grab a bite if they're hungry and it's not yet mealtime. You can plan to stock this table by deciding what you want to have on it, and then ask everybody to contribute. You know, if everybody signs up on your team to bring one or two things, it's going to save you a ton of money. Consider snacks like trail mix or dried fruit, apples, cheese, granola bars are okay, yogurt, but you want to keep it maybe in a bowl of ice so that it doesn't get warm. Crackers, whether it's pita chips or actual crackers like saltines. Um, Hummus is a good snack food. Veggies, chopped up vegetables. Also, keep some peppermints around. Peppermint is a great um, item to rejuvenate people. It'll wake you up. So if you put peppermint lifesavers or the starlight mints, something like that, just a bowl of those on the table, people will appreciate that also. So again, plan and divide, and think about what people like and what you would want on that table. Meals on a movie set are often referred to as the catering aspect. Um, we just call it plain food here in little old Greensboro. But again, plan and divide this. One of the things to do is ask mom. She's always a good one to want to be involved, but she probably is, in your eyes anyway, not one to wrangle a camera or handle the audio. So moms like to get involved, and one way is to let them feed the masses. And I actually have team leaders that have done that, so that's why I included it on this list. But there's also other people that they just, like to help whoever, maybe their uh, significant other is involved in the project and they feel like they're doing something if they get to help out. And it's a definite need. You can also find a sponsor. Individual teams are allowed to find sponsors. There have been like places, like pizza places, that'll give discounts, but I just warned you about not having pizza. I would save that for the Sunday after you've turned in the final film. If you got a pizza discount, go for it after everything's done. A few foods that are easy, just off the top of my head, that I put down. Fried chicken. You can cook it in advance. It's good cold, so you don't have to have it heated and ready for everybody. Um, Also, sandwiches, whether it's peanut butter and jelly or you just have several packs or of different deli meats, and let them assemble their own. Wraps are good. You can also, anything in a crock pot. Um, I know personally I've got a recipe for a ragu that has meatballs and potatoes and carrots, and you use beef broth and tomato sauce in it and some spices and things, and it really comes out good, and it doesn't have a bunch of weird vegetables that, it's a basic meat and potatoes type dish that people like, and the recipe makes a lot, and you can keep it warm in the crock pot. Um, you could also um, do other dishes in the crock pot, and it's nice because it keeps it warm. Get a ham or a turkey, for 10 or 15 bucks. You got this huge hunk of meat that you can slice on and eat off of all day or probably all weekend. Hot dogs are good. As far as they're easy to prepare, you can put those in a crock pot, keep them warm, and put the buns in there to steam them. Um, Casseroles are good. There's another one that I've seen made for large groups of people that it's a dump and pour recipe. You put 3 or 4 different kinds of pasta, and you can brown some sausage and some hamburger and mix it up in there. Add tomato sauce, tomato paste, a bunch of spices, ricotta cheese, and some shredded cheddar and mozzarella in there, and you just bake it until all the cheese is melted, and it's awesome, and it makes a ton. As I mentioned these, if anybody wants these recipes, feel free to email me, and my email's at the end of this presentation. Also, keep some cheap treats on hand. People love those little freezer pops that you buy like 100 for a couple of bucks. Those are fun. Uh, the store brand of popsicles, like banana pops or whatever, are pretty cheap. And then you could get like the little individual ice cream cups. I'm not talking about the Haagen-Dazs. I'm talking about the ones that come like 20 to a pack, and they're in a big plastic bag in the freezer section. All of those are fun. They're a small treat, and on these hot summer days when we typically have the 48-hour film project, it's just a great treat for your team members. Keep in mind logistics to keep things moving as smoothly as possible. Uh, this is a real picture from a team uh, where the guy working on the set was exhausted and he just wanted to catch a few minutes of sleep, and the only quiet place he could find was the bathtub. So that's something you should keep in mind as you plan the logistics for your 48-hour film project team. You want time management. Plan out how you want to fit everything in. How long are you going to let your writers write? How much time do you want to devote to filming? And how much time do you want to devote to editing? And then stick as close to it as you can. Yes, things happen. That's part of the excitement of the 48-hour film project. But if you set the parameters in advance and set out those intentions, you'll follow it more closely. Keep in mind your transportation logistics, who has to be where at what time and how are they going to get there. And then the actual travel, how if everybody's meeting at a special location that's remote, how do you expect them to get there? Who do you want to ride with who? Do you want everybody to meet in one spot and follow each other? Think about all of those things. Also, for people that are traveling, maybe they live an hour or two away and they're on your team. When do you want them to come in? How soon do you need them? And let them plan for how they're traveling, and making sure that you know how they're traveling. Pets. If you're a team leader and you're going to be around your house with a bunch of people that your pets don't know, are they going to be okay with that? How are you going to handle your pets? What are you going to do with them? Who's going to be in charge with them? And don't forget, somebody needs to feed them. You're going to be busy with the film. You don't want to forget them. The same goes for your team members' pets. Make sure your team members understand how long they're expected to be on the set so that they need to know if they need to find a pet sitter or somebody to check in on their animals. Children. What are you going to do if you have children? You need to make sure that the children understand how they can and cannot be involved. Also, make sure that your team members with children understand whether or not you are allowing children on set. And if you are allowing children on set, what are your expectations? If you have a baby sleeping in the next room and you're in the middle of a good shot and the baby wakes up from a nap, it could be ruined in a heartbeat with a crying child. I love children. I have two of my own, but you've got to recognize the interferences that can happen, and when you're on a time crunch, it can be a problem. Also think about clothing. Recommend that everybody, especially those that are on camera, bring an extra change of clothing. Um, if they end up staying overnight, they might want some clean underwear. If they are doing stuff on set and they get dirty, they might want to change of clothes. If they're an actor and they spill something on their clothes, they might need a change of clothes. So it's just a nice thing for people to kind of pack a bag and keep it in the back of their car, if nothing else. Sleep. How are people going to sleep, and how are you going to let them sleep? Are you going to give certain crew members times where they should get their sleep? And if they're going to be sleeping somewhere in your home or on location, make sure they have a place to sleep. If your editor is taking a break, give the editor a quiet place to catch a nap. Also be prepared with linens and towels if somebody wants to grab a shower. If they are sleeping, they might want a sheet. You can have blankets, pillows, have people bring this stuff in. I'm not saying you have to provide all these things, but plan for them. As I said, the mantra should be a healthy, happy, and hydrated team. Please remember that.